Checking KGO traffic. There's an accident in Oakland, 880 northbound at 98th. Apparently the right lane here is reportedly blocked. Got a problem on the Bay Bridge, lower deck, 80 eastbound before Treasure Island. Watch out for something blocking the middle lane there. San Jose, it's 101 northbound before 87. There's a crash there blocking the right lane. Apparently it's you come up onto it pretty fast. KGO weather, mostly cloudy overnight with some patchy fog and lows in the upper 40s to low 50s. Then we'll have a partly cloudy day today with highs in the 60s to mid-70s. I'm George Acevedo, KGO Radio News.
Rich Walcolf in here today with a host of former big league stars and friends of Glenn Burke, the late star player out of Berkeley High who was a Dodger, who was in the World Series and came out after his baseball career. And tragically, his life and career ended way too short. And you talk about the Don't Ask, Don't Tell and the ban that is maintained in the military. Well, there's the unofficial ban maybe in Major League Sports today, and certainly in Major League Baseball. And we're joined by a former A's infielder, scout in the Major Leagues, and Comcast TV analyst during the A's broadcast, Shooty Babbitt. Welcome to KGO, along with we have John Lambert, former NBA star, USC guy, another Berkeley man who was in studio with us, and Abdul Jalil from Superstar Management at Oakland, the sports and entertainment megastar of promotion. And Doug Harris is doing something very unique. He not only produced the recent documentary that debuted and premiered this week, Out, the Glenn Burke Story, but he is actually shooting our show this morning, or this afternoon, with his video, because he always travels with the video. I guess that's the way to fly. So it's KGO Radio doing video, doing radio. Gentlemen, thanks for coming here. Glenn Burke Story, epic in the sense that he breaks ground. Here we are a generation later. Can we think of more than a handful of guys in professional baseball, football, basketball, hockey, anywhere, who have been able to say, this is who I am, take me as I am, I'm a gay guy, and I'm living my life, and accept me? Where's the tolerance? Where are the guys coming out? Let's start with Shooty. You knew him in the day. It's been a long time since he's been gone. It's a long time since we heard anybody even come out and say, hey, what about me?
Just thinking back, when Glenn was in high school and I was a little younger, the guys that were pretty good in the neighborhood knew about the guys that were the guy in the neighborhood, the John Lamberts, the Rupert Jones, the Gene Ransom. So us coming up, we knew who those guys were. This guy was a top physical specimen and just built like an upside-down triangle. I mean, this guy was incredible.
He was just a gifted athlete all around. He could have played any sport. They never mentioned anything about football. I fully believe he could have been an excellent football player. I actually was walking home with him one day after high school, and the guy was kicking field goals through the goalposts, and one of them landed down at our feet. He picked it up and almost threw it the entire length of the football field.
Whatever measure of a man you find to be pertinent, Glenn will exceed that criteria in every way. Whether it was physically as an athlete, it didn't matter. You set the bar. Glenn would exceed that. And then he would come back and redefine what you classified a man to be by saying, I'm gay. I'm Glenn. I'm me. This is me. So it wasn't just about breaking down barriers. It was about redefining what a man was.
I mean, so here's a guy that had all these skills, and what we're talking about now is some life decisions that he made and how it separates him from the actual skills he had as a human being. I mean, he was an absolutely fantastic athlete, and here this life decision choice, this preference he had, wound up having some detraction from what he could accomplish on the field, and that really is a tragedy.
How many other Glenn Burkes are out there? What will it take to break that invisible wall down? Where are we going in pro sports? That's pretty much the broad-based focus of our conversation today. I mean, you've got 1,500 guys in the NFL. You probably have 600-700 in the NBA and NHL. You probably have 2,000 athletes on U.S. pro teams of the four major sports. And if we just, by conjecture, say 5% would be gay guys, you got a couple hundred guys living the double life. Rich Walcolf on KGO. We'll come right back.
Big dudes in the KGO studios today. It is an update from the KGO radio newsroom. A trip that extended from the growing democracies of India and Indonesia to the economic summits in South Korea.
My thought though is what is the real question? What are we really trying to get at here? I mean, to me, you've got somebody that has, whether they're an actor, an actress, or an athlete or whatever,
to approve a nuclear
what the person's decision is, whether they want to learn how to speak French or Italian, or they want to be, you know, heterosexual, bisexual, whatever. Why can't a person just be appreciated for what their what their competency is in a particular area? Why can't they be, you know? And this other part, I mean, he literally was asked to leave sports, you know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he was forced out. He was forced out of doing something that he was clearly, you know, skilled and talented to do. He deserved to be playing at that level. And then here, and I mean, the real question about us as a society is how do we?
We are a very repressed society, very puritanical, very judgmental, very righteously intolerant and indignant.
But see, it exists more, like Shooty said, it exists more in sports than any place else. The remnants of it is so still and entrenched in sports. That's it. You know, and it's because we deal with that machismo image. You know, we're forced to live a certain way. You know what? It's as archaic and as stupid as the times when we played and they told you, don't lift weights during the season. Can't drink water during the game. Now we know
have sex before the game.
No. We talked about this with Glenn. At that point in time, if you were an athlete, you couldn't even have sex. It would make you weak in this mysterious way that you couldn't perform. Okay? So when Glenn says sex wasn't important, it wasn't at that time because he was excited about being a great athlete, and we knew that was taboo for a great athlete. Okay?
Well, I tell you what a spirited conversation we're having off the air. Bring it right to the radio here on KGO with former NBA star John Lambert, former Major Leaguer Shooty Babbitt, and sports management and entertainment superstar management agent Abdul Jalil. Rich Walcolf here on KGO. We're talking about the documentary Out, the Glenn Burke Story, and how in 1982, after his career was cut short, in large part because he was gay, we've had very few, just a handful of professional male athletes make it known that they are homosexual. How repressed, how suppressed, how damaging it is to their lives and the overall health of our sports and our nation, because they can't be true to themselves. In the female sports world, that's common and commonly accepted. In the male pro sports world, it is like it's a needle in a haystack. When will it change? What will it take to change? Shooty, you shake your head, say it's never going to happen. But what if there's revelations of a superstar in sports today, a male superstar? If a LeBron James or a Kobe Bryant or somebody of that ilk or a Derek Jeter would come out?
I think we're going to use Derek Jeter as an example. I think if Derek Jeter came out at the end of his career and this was known about him, I don't think it would take away from the player that he was, but a lot of people would be in real disbelief because of the professional that he was and how good of a job he did of keeping his personal life away from the big stage, and that's the biggest stage in anywhere in any sport. I don't think it would make it any easier for someone else to come out, because I think it's an individual thing, and I think the magnitude of the situation will dictate, how much attention it will get. But I just don't feel, because of the way that the landscape of the sports have been put together and the people that have built this game and what it means to them, for someone to bring that different type of change and attention, I think it would have to change in leaps and bounds. And Jalil, he talked about it, and we've watched how far we've come, as a nation and people. But in this little ball right here of sports, I don't think that no matter who comes out, it will change it for the next person, because I think any person's individual situation is much different.
For someone like a Derek Jeter or a Michael Jordan to step forward during their career, you'd have to weigh the opportunity and saying, look what my marketing is, look what my audience is, but do I really want to take a risk and step out and do that? And the risk is not, it's on their part, but it's because of society's determination of whether they're going to be perceived, in a negative way.
When I look at TV and film, I look at entertainment and sports, in the 40 years I've been in this, and, I was one of the first agents in the business that created business, and I look back at the times when we wanted to pitch certain things, do certain things, and how they couldn't be done. Now you look at how television has evolved, how entertainment has evolved. You're almost not relevant today if you don't have a gay character. There are so many programs that are geared to that, to Cume, just to get that audience, just to get that market. Glee is not a phenomenon. It's the result of a lot of work that a lot of people put in behind the scenes diligently to expose this homophobia and to dispel it. So why wouldn't you think sports is next?
There's a documentary produced by Doug Harris, who happens to be filming our radio show today. Kind of ironic twist of fate there. It's called Out, the Glenn Burke Story. It premiered on Comcast this past Tuesday night. Rich Walcolf on KGO. We'll come right back.
We may not see it in our lifetime.
It may not, but I guarantee
it's like Michael Jordan showing up all over.
It's gonna happen.
And that's your Glenn to be able to. It took a special.
Like Jackie Robinson was a special guy.
We'll take LeBron.
He was the same.
We'll take LeBron.
Analogous.
It's the same dynamic.
No, it ain't the same.
No. He's talking about being the first. He's talking about being the first.
It was as tough for Jackie Robinson in 1947.
And he had to have the right temperament.
Mentality, temperament, everything.
But Jackie Robinson wasn't hiding, trying to hide he was black.
No, that ain't it. That ain't it, Shooty. You know what kind of temperament it takes to get through the minor leagues.
No question.
Okay, now you know it ain't gonna take no average guy to make it through that system. Because it ain't about how great you are as a baseball player.
So it ain't gonna happen.
Jesus Christ got on a pair of tennis shoes right now, playing in LA. Playing in LA.
He ain't that way.
That is my point, Shooty. It's gonna happen because it's gonna be one of those guys just like that. And he's gonna be that one in a zillion that you're talking about.
What if we ain't getting on me?
I tell you what a spirited conversation we're having off the air. Bring it right to the radio here on KGO with former NBA star John Lambert, former Major Leaguer Shooty Babbitt, and sports management and entertainment superstar management agent Abdul Jalil. Rich Walcolf here on KGO. We're talking about the documentary Out, the Glenn Burke Story, and how in 1982, after his career was cut short, in large part because he was gay, we've had very few, just a handful of professional male athletes make it known that they are homosexual. We were drawing the parallels to Jackie Robinson, and I agree with you, Abdul. We were speaking off the air that there is going to be a pioneer who is going to be able to say, "Here I am, accept me for who I am," and there will be parallels to the Jackie Robinson story. Shooty didn't buy that.
Well, for the simple fact that I don't think anyone is bigger than the sport, and when we're talking about an individual sport, I might tend to lean to agree with you and Jalil a little bit, but when we're talking about a sport that they can always replace you, and I don't think you're that good because you can't dominate a Major League Baseball game. I don't care who you are unless you're something that throws 27 pitches and 27 strikes and no one can touch you, then you're that type of player. I don't care. But there are no players like that in this league, and there won't be. So I just don't think that they will allow one player because you're too easy to replace.
Well, if you were a Barry Bonds or a Tim Lincecum or an Albert Pujols or a Derek Jeter, you could have a different argument there. Not that they are the ones who control everything, but they might be the man.
And if you do it after you finished your career, it's a different statement. It's just an entirely different statement. But if you do it because it's a lifestyle issue and you made a decision to head in this direction, and this is something that you want to use it as a platform, but I don't think it's frankly necessary. I mean, I don't think it's that critical.
Well, how come it didn't hurt Billie Jean King and Martina Navratilova and so many women, Cheryl Swoops and the like, and then there were male Greg Louganis in the individual sports, Rudy Galindo, Brian Orser, the figure skaters, Carl Lewis in track and field. But when you talk about the team sports, is it because we're all stripped naked in the shower shooting that you talked about? Or, Abdul, you mentioned in the entertainment world where it's almost a plus, or it is perceived as beneficial.
Yeah, it's become that. And, you know from the arguments that we had, I firmly believe it's going to happen, and it's not going to be a real long time. And I guarantee you that little G20, that G30 of owners, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, they decide to keep a gay athlete like that, who's that qualified, who's that talented, out of the league, he'll get enough money from them to have his own gay franchise.
Abdul Jalil, Shooty Babbitt, John Lambert, Rich Walcolf. What a show, guys. Thanks so much for coming on board and touching a subject that few have dared even challenge. Out, the Glenn Burke Story, again on Comcast Sportsnet next Tuesday. Stay tuned for Cal Football. Thanks to John Daly, producer, and engineer Bruce Fiacco. Rich Walcolf, good afternoon, everybody.
Good show.
Good job, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry, those stones blew up.
Y'all got the best stuff.
Good job. Thanks for being here, Doug.